All right, guys, we're live. Half tilt with the crazy face. Yeah, sorry about that little interrupt there. Hopefully, it does not happen again. But yeah, I guess my router randomly decided to restart. But yeah, welcome in, welcome viewers, welcome my fellow hosts, and welcome to Half Tilt, our awesome guest for this Wednesday. How are you doing, Half Tilt?
I'm doing great, actually. I'm doing
Yeah,
really good. Thank you. How are you guys?
I'm doing great. Thane, super.
Yeah,
How are you guys?
doing good, doing great. Not sunburned
Fan-fucking-tastic.
from the weekend.
Yeah. Your Persian skin gets sunburned. I didn't think that
That
was
was the
possible.
first time I've ever had a sunburn in my life, guys. That was
Really?
awful. I
Oh,
never want to
no.
experience that shit again.
I think as a ginger, I have to take your Persian card. Like,
Okay.
I've had more than one sunburn that would match Super's beard.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't really get that red when I sunburn, even though like I'm a pale guy, like I'm a blonde guy, like I'm German. Like when I get sunburn, it just like gets a little red, then it starts to peel, and then it turns to a tan, and then I don't sunburn for the rest of summer. It's super weird.
So you just get your first one done in like April, and then
Yeah.
you're set.
I mean, I'll probably have melanoma by the time I'm 50, but you know.
Yeah.
must be nice.
Must be nice.
It's not
So
the
what?
destination; it's the journey.
Yeah, exactly. You know, live hard, die early. So why don't we do the usual? Why don't we go around and say what is everyone drinking tonight? What do we got? Let's start with Half Tilt.
I have a Fat Tug IPA from Driftwood Brewery here, local Victoria, British Columbia.
Very nice. Super.
I'm drinking an American beer.
Yeah. How American are you?
How American am I? Red, white, and blue. I mean,
Oh, okay.
can't get much more American than me. Frenchie over here is running the French flag, so you know, whatever.
BC is not Quebec. Like, there's
Wow.
other sides of the country.
Listen. If it's not American, then I mean, come on.
Come on. So, what American beer are you drinking?
Yingling out of Pennsylvania.
That's actually an American beer. I believe it's one of the last actually owned by America. I think Coors is one of the other ones. I know Bud Light sold out, right?
Yeah, they sold out a while ago.
Yeah. Thane, what are you drinking?
I'm cleaning out the fridge from the weekend, so very basic. Being a basic girl and drinking a Corona, it's great. That's awesome. I love it.
There you go.
It's 2021. You're safe.
Did you put a lime in it?
I did not.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think we're out of limes,
that's not too basic then, right?
No, it's just like I want the beer. I don't need to cover it up with something else.
All right. And I'm drinking my usual Manhattan. You know, I might have a lot of access to whiskey, so it's my usual. But yeah, so we've got Half Tilt on the show tonight. We try to do a guest every other week, and Half Tilt was very awesomely accepted coming on the show almost last minute. I think we decided Monday night or Tuesday night. Was it last night that we decided you were coming?
Yeah, yesterday was confirmed schedule. Yeah.
There we go. Awesomely is a word, because I made it
Absolutely.
up. But so I have to a few questions. Why don't you give the usual plug? What do you do in the Ashes community?
Well, I go on rants and tangents mostly.
You'll fit right in then.
Great.
No, I do live streams, and obviously we'll be dedicated to that with the NDA lifting here in a couple days. Yeehaw.
Maybe.
As far as content and future plans go, I do YouTube stuff. I do discussions. Sometimes I put those on YouTube. Sometimes I don't. And for the most part, I'm probably going to be focusing on a lot of exploring and treasure hunting, as well as PvP and the arena systems. Something that really intrigued me. And I would love to do a lot of content around that moving forward. Once we get into the game, into the live game, when all that's relevant. So that's kind of my big thing with Ashes right now. We talk about anything and everything we can: systems, mechanics, ideologies, whatever it is, I personally prefer to have conversations with everyone in the community rather than just run my mouth by myself. But we do what we got to do.
I mean, every once in a while you got to run your mouth by yourself. It's what happens.
That's right.
One of the things I really like about Half Tilt's streams is when you're talking about like the different class stuff and like the augment conversations and whatnot. Like I love listening in on those. Like that's just theory crafting, to the extreme right now. So I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would give your YouTube channel a shout out, but you are potentially swapping that over, yeah?
Yes, I'm going to put up one more video on it this week to kind of round out that augment series that we've been doing, and then all of that content's going to get migrated over to a new channel called Tilted Paradise.
All right.
It's already there; it's up and going, and it's kind of funny because that's a name I came up with before I was even in Ashes of Creation when I was doing other stuff, and I'm like, oh, this would be a cool thing to have. It was on my old splash screen and everything, and then I started doing some searching on YouTube for it to see if anything was taken. And apparently it's some big Fortnite meme thing. And I was like, oh, great. I'm never going to be found. It's going to be filled in with all the Fortnite stuff. So I don't know. I like uphill battles, I guess. Always take the hard road.
Yeah. I mean, name recognition is huge. It's one of the reasons I picked my name. I know Thane has had some struggles with his name.
In the past, I've definitely had some. I was told in an esports thing to literally, I had to change my old name because of a reason that we'll say it after the show. That'll be after the show, guys.
So yeah, for those who don't know, we hop into my Discord after the show and we have a chat with anyone who wants to come and join. And it lasts anywhere from half an hour to 3 hours, depending on what kind of tangents we go on. But you're welcome to join for as much or as little as you want. And we're all going to be pestering Thane for this story.
Absolutely.
You guys got to remind if we remember by then.
Super. Have you had any issues with your name, or is it you always seem to have something after it, so it doesn't count?
So yeah, just super. Even spelt the way that I spell it, has issues. But I have actually gone by Supernova for a lot of stuff. The Super TCG change is a little bit more recent. But I mean, just kind of the way that I've gone about it is it's like I mean, in chat we have my wife, Super Wife, and so super is just kind of like the prefix to kind of whatever else is going on. So but just within the Ashes community, I've kind of slowly unintentionally transitioned to just super. So as of right now, people more generally know me as Super, but it's probably also because I don't have Canova in my name anymore. So
there you go. And Half Tilt, you ran into some interesting issues. You want to regale us of that tale?
I did. So my partner, Lady Tilt, she designed a logo for me a little while ago, which was an H and a T and almost like a cube, part of a cube pattern. And I was using that for the longest time. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I got an email from somebody saying, hey, that's my logo. You need to stop using it now or pay for the rights for it. And he wanted like 300. He was selling it for like $350. And then I found out he issued a DMCA takedown to the Ashes of Creation forums. So Toast had to remove the logo from everywhere and notify me. And then he also did it on YouTube. And he manually put a strike against my 10 most recent videos, which was enough to get 2 copyright strikes. Apparently, I guess the 11th video probably would have triggered the 3rd strike and shut down the channel. So he didn't go that far. And, there was speculation going on because I know she created that on her own. I don't know if she ever saw it somewhere and subconsciously just completely forgot about it. And it was like, hey, this is going to be my influence for my design. But we were pretty confident it was an original piece. And anyway, it led to, in the end, I was talking with the guy and I was like, yeah, cool. I'll take it off my stuff. That's fine. I went in and edited all my YouTube videos to cut that logo specifically out of the videos. and he retracted his takedown notices, and now I've got the new logo, which is the pirate flag, also designed by Lady Tilt. And I gotta say, I really, really like this one. And yeah. In the end, all things happen for a reason, and I'm happy. We came out winning, I think, on this one in the end.
Yeah, and I mean, luckily you're early enough that that's easy to transition. My question is, do you think this guy is just like going out and finding smaller content creators and just like taking their logos and putting them as his own, and then sending out and making them pay either money or change everything?
I don't know. Like, the thought definitely crossed my mind that this was either as somebody personally that we knew that was coming after us for whatever reason, and they just hacked into an account or were using an alias to do this. But I went and looked on the website that he was hosting his images on, and I did a lot of searching, went right down into the page view data and everything to try and figure out, okay, when did you actually post these images? When were they uploaded? And try to figure out all that crap. And in the end, it was like, okay, I can't find anything to prove that you're wrong in your claim. And a lot of the other logos he had for sale on his site were in a similar style.
Interesting.
So it wasn't like this stands out like a sore thumb compared to all of the other logos, which are a totally different aesthetic design. But it really does make you wonder. So in the end, he had apparently uploaded that video like 6 or 7 months before I actually started using that logo. So
yeah,
it's hard to say. I'm not a programmer. I'm not that deep into the internet stuff that I don't know if you can fudge that page data or easily do it. And if that, I imagine you can. Anything's possible on the internet, I suppose. But
yeah. I mean, that's as I said, it was just super interesting, and it's something to be aware of for all of us smaller content creators, right?
100%. Like Fane had a great idea. He suggested to me, take a copy of that, make a hard copy of it, and put it in an envelope and have it posted and like signed by the postage company that's near you, and just put it away.
Yeah.
And if there's ever an issue, it's like, hey, no, I have my hard copy here that has been sealed and certified. And
let's go to court.
That.
Let's go to court, and then you'll back down.
That's right.
So yeah, I guess it was just super interesting to hear that story, but as you said, it sounds like it all worked out because now you're a fan of your current logo and all of that, which is that's awesome. And sometimes a little rebrand can be a good thing if you can kind of narrow down and find some new graphics that really work for you. So yeah, I guess why don't we get to the elephant in the room, right?
Ooh.
Oh, I'm not that big.
Ooh.
Damn, son.
I was talking about myself, this COVID liquor issue, I just keep drinking and I just keep getting bigger. No, what I was going to say is the NDA drop. I think it's on everyone's mind, right? I mean, most of us, all 4 of us, were in the test today, at least a little bit. And we once again got into siege testing and the entire server crashed.
Well, which is weird because last siege test, we actually were able to go through the full siege. Like we had bugs, but we didn't have siege crashing going on. And so there's something going on that, they haven't told all of us yet, but
Steven did mention in the Discord today that he was kind of rushing the build out. This was supposed to be, I think, like tomorrow's build or something, but he was rushing it by a day. So he didn't go into any more details, but that maybe there was something in that build exclusively separate from when we played yesterday. Because yesterday's siege was great up until about six and a half minutes left in it. Then there was some lag and rubber banding starting to happen, which made me question if that Ghost AI controller is truly nuked or if it's just been beaten like a redheaded stepchild.
Just firing it super tonight, guys. Oh my goodness.
Hey, you gotta take a shot of my Canadian beer. That's what you get.
Don't worry.
Yeah, so it was
Don't worry,
interesting.
Love you.
I was getting some rubber banding in the siege right before it crashed. So probably about 3 or 4 minutes before it crashed, I died because I'm bad, and I had just spawned into the attacker's area, and I was running back, and I was getting weird rubber banding where I was getting like thrown like. My character was getting thrown into things like I had run into them, so like into a barricade, and I was like stuck running into that after I got rubber banded back. But when I was running, I ran like right past it. Like I moved my character around, so clearly there's some like it didn't catch my input of turning and moving around it, and it just registered my character auto running right into this. And I mean, I guess that's the question, right? You know, you made a very good statement in your video, which was super late last night. Like, I woke up this morning at like 6 a.m. and I see a post from Half Tilt that's like posted 4 hours ago. Like, Jesus Christ, you were up late.
I worked till midnight, and I was like, I gotta do this.
The statement you made, if not now, then when? I think that was a really good comment. Like, if not now for the NDA drop, like, when is it going to be ready? Like, I mean, it's an alpha. We're going to be getting crashes whenever they add in new content, potentially. This is going to be a regular thing. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Where are we at with dropping the alpha? Obviously, in my opinion, I think it's just too late at this point to call it off. But yeah, where are you guys at with this?
I'll let these guys go because I'm going to go for a hot minute on this. Like, I'm going to go for a hot minute. I'm going to let these guys say their piece, and then we're going in.
So Monster Coin.
Fucking goddamn. What? You're getting picked on, so you just have to redirect the anger at me? Who hurt you, Super? Who hurt you?
All of you. All of you.
All right, that's it. Now I'm pissed at Super. He said Monster Coin. We're going in on it. All right. So here's the thing. Dropping the NDA would literally not be an issue if it wasn't for people. People keep fucking stuff up. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're the ones that just keep messing this whole thing up. Now, I think that we have so many issues, and we've talked about this on the show before. I've talked about it on stream. I've talked about it with Bard and Discord ad nauseum. The issue that we have with an alpha is that so many games have released whatever they're releasing and called it an alpha. Valheim has done it. DayZ has done it. Last Oasis has done it. And they're saying this is an early alpha. That's not an early alpha. That's just a shitty product. I'm sorry. I'm going to just say it. Valheim, if you guys want to sponsor me, you still can. I love you guys so much. You're a fun game. But it is a shitty product. What we're seeing now,
agree with that. I think
okay, it's a shitty product compared to what its potential is at full release. You know, DayZ, when it first came out in early alpha or pre-alpha or whatever they wanted to call it.
But it's a playable game. It doesn't crash every 5 seconds or every half hour.
Correct. No, there's because there's 10 people on a server, right? There's not 200 people in a small siege area.
Well, that was their game design choice.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I'm not bragging on Valheim. I played the shit out of Valheim. I'm excited for the update. But these games that tag themselves early access or alpha or pre-alpha mess up the expectation of everybody of these gamers that watch it. So they're going to come in and see Ashes and they're going to say, well, this looks awful. Why is it crashing? How come I'm staring at your desktop for half the stream because you're waiting for Toast to bring the servers back up? It's a very different thing. And I think that this is a big, like, on the content creator side of explaining what a true development alpha is. I've done alpha testing. I did alpha testing for WildStar. It was literally no worse than this, no better than this. It was just, hey, we were all on for a few hours and then stuff started to bug out and we all crashed and died. Things like this happen. So I think you definitely have to release the NDA now. You've already pushed it back from March to now July. I mean, you've had this huge pushback in addition to large pushbacks throughout your development already. So I think it's time to just let it go, rip the Band-Aid off, and just hope that you have something sustainable and hope that your content creators can really help coach the community as to what they're seeing.
I agree 100%. And I posted it in chat. I mean, they had the Twitter announcement of it. I mean, if the email that we got about, you know, hey, are you going to be here for testing wasn't enough of a clarification that, you know, they have full intent to move forward with the weekend test. That is in a couple days now.
Yeah.
That Twitter post, in my opinion, if they back off now because they made that Twitter post, a lot of hell is going to break loose. They have to do it. It just in the last 12 hours, it's gone from I could potentially see it getting pushed back. Yeah, they'll get some flack. It'll be okay. But that kind of official statement to me says, I don't care what state the game is in. If you don't release it at this point, there might be irreparable damage done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because just putting out a potential schedule and then that potential schedule getting pushed back, like that's all understandable. Once you make it official, then it's like, okay, you need to stick to it and you need to live with the consequences of that action, you know, happening. Which I think is fine. I mean, I think this weekend we're probably going to see some crashes. You know, we'll get, you know, a couple hours of playtime, servers will come down, reboot, all that, you know, all that different stuff. Maybe get a couple of sieges in. But I really think that, I mean, this weekend is really just a test for the month long. I mean, every test in the last month has been for the month long, but this is going to be a little bit more of a public one. It does seem like the AI controller issue is gone. I was not experiencing any rubber banding within the siege, but there were a lot of other random things going on within the siege that did kind of seem like rubber banding a little bit. So I'm not going to say that it 100% wasn't there. I mean, for all we know, the AI ghost controller issue is present within the siege instance, but nuked in the rest of the world. I don't know how that, you know, I don't know coding, but it is interesting that as time went on, the siege instance started to degrade a little bit because it was fine at the beginning. About halfway through, we started seeing some weird stuff, and then by the end of it, it was just like, what the hell's going on? So I agree. They need to rip the Band-Aid and they need to deal with any repercussions because of how public they have now made it and how official they have now made the statement that it's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree as well. You can't back down now. You can't. They've made it official, and that's it. And I firmly believe that they're prepared for that. I believe that they are prepared for the shitstorm that is going to come their way from a lot of just the general public that are exactly as Fane said, so have been conditioned to think that an alpha game is something that you are ready to buy off the shelf, when the reality is those are beta games at the very least. They're not an alpha game. An alpha game tests mechanical foundation, and it is on us to reiterate that regularly, especially as we have new viewers coming in and out of streams, and preface that in any videos that we do. That said, you know, Intrepid has to be ready to handle and not get down on themselves or discouraged when any negativity comes their way. I will encourage people till I'm blue in the face, as much as I am in my shirt, to provide constructive criticism. Criticism doesn't have to be a bad thing. Just be constructive about it. And, you know, if you don't like something, well, why? And if you can even go even one further than that and explain what you would change about it or how it could be better, that is valuable information. I don't care how out of left field your answer or your thought is. That's valuable information. And I think that's what the studio is hoping to get from this, is just a ton of different perspectives, stuff that, you know, even in the thousands of people that we have doing alpha testing right now here and there and talking about it, as content creators, now people getting to see it, having that bit more tangible evidence behind it is going to be huge for them. So
yeah,
constructive criticism has to be the focus point right now.
So I posted a YouTube video earlier today, and the way I'm doing YouTube videos, I generally end up with like 20 minutes worth of me ranting and rambling, and I cut it down to about 10 minutes. But there was a section in today's YouTube video, and I literally cut it out because I wanted to save it for this discussion today. And it's the fact that This is my biggest concern. And it's not, I mean, it's not really going to affect things overall, but we have such an awesome, tight knit community right now. Everyone's supportive of each other. Everyone is awesome. Like when bugs happen, yeah, we laugh it off. We have a good time about it. Like the community right now is awesome. And I am a little worried about this injection of brand new viewers, especially when they see all these crashes and stuff. And so I'm a little worried that our awesome community is going to start to have a toxic aspect. And obviously there's ways we can curb that, but what do you guys think?
So I'm going to say this, like, and this is kind of my overall point on this. I think one of the things that Intrepid has done poorly, and I support them as a studio. I think they're going to make an awesome product, and I don't think that they do a ton poorly. But considering how their big thing was transparency, we want a transparent development process. I'm not sure they've been as transparent as they really kind of hinted they would be. So right now we're going into this, and it's, hey, the AI controller bug. We had to really figure out what the AI controller bug. It wasn't really officially explained until a dev stream. So now we're having something happening in the sieges. Once they identify that, will they let us know what it is so that we can then go ahead and say, hey, this is what's happening in the sieges. This is the issue we're running into. This is how we need to fix it. Or is it just like, oh, I'm playing. Oh, it's a siege and the whole server crashed. Now we have to load. I don't know what happened, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know if they're giving the people that, I don't want to use the term like white knight, but they do kind of white knight this game. I don't know if they're giving them the tools and the information to adequately explain off the hiccups that these are all very standard hiccups. Like HalfTilt said,
Yeah.
this is a true alpha. We are trying to work out the server backend, then we'll get into the content. But I don't know if they're giving us the information that we really need to explain this off, if that makes sense.
And I'll piggyback off that for a sec too. It's having that information and knowing what triggers these bugs and what causes them gives us as testers a more direct avenue to try and recreate that failure
Yeah.
or that bug.
Mhm.
And that's really important because you can test it in studio with 10 or 20 people, but to have 200 people on a server come in and try to recreate something actively and over the course of an hour-long siege, you're going to beat the crap out of that mechanic, and cool, now you've solved it. Or hey, you fixed that core issue, but now that it's got some branches coming off that need to be addressed because these additional actions that 4% of that testing group took caused this follow-up issue. And that is very valuable information to us as testers as well.
Yeah, and I'll just follow that up by saying that's my biggest criticism of Intrepid, and we all want to phrase this. We're all invested. We want this product to succeed. We think they're doing a better job than most other studios at what they're doing. So this is like when we're talking about criticism, this is intended to be constructive, right? We're not trying to just sit here and shit on it or down talk it or anything like that. We're trying to avoid the white knighting. We're saying, here are ways I think you can improve. And especially with the NDA drop coming up, I think the biggest thing here is just communication. And it's something I kind of criticized a little in one of my videos recently where we went like an entire week without hearing anything. And then suddenly it was like, oh, we've got a test today. And then it was like, well, wait, you gave some information, but there's no official announcements. And so I guess, yeah, we just need a little bit more communication, especially moving forward into the NDA, so we can help you guys present this to the public, right? Because we all love this game. We absolutely love it. We want it to succeed. So give us the information, and we will do our best to convey that to everyone else to maintain our awesome community of support rather than letting it devolve into this negative aspect.
Well, and I mean it's help us help you. I mean
Yes, yeah.
that's exactly what's being said, is allow the content creators to help you in helping the game succeed. One thing I do want to bring up, and this is not the norm, but I do want to give credit where credit is due. July 1st, NDA test news. If you guys go into there, Steven did lay out in a little bit more detail what was being worked on, what's coming up. What I want to see, and the constructive part of like the constructive feedback that we're talking about here is, I know we have like the monthly developer update. I think it would be cool to have a weekly, just a typed out, hey, these were the issues we were running into. Here's a very brief explanation. It doesn't need to be super in depth, but just give us something to bite onto a little bit. Just give us a little bit, even if it's in a format like this, just a quick post on the forums, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever kind of time frame makes sense with what testing and new iterations and new stuff being put into the servers. But give the community a little bit more transparency, which is what was promised from day one of Kickstarter, to exactly what you guys were saying there, and allow that to come through. Because where I feel most confident in telling people that why I think this is a good game is when I'm able to say, you guys have no idea what this game was like a year ago versus a month ago versus now. Like, I mean, you guys know the month ago to now time frame, or the 2 months ago almost now to now. But it's like the being able to lay that out and explain that and say, look, yeah, we had rubber banding for that, when they reopened Alpha 1, but y'all should have seen the game 9 months before that. We couldn't leave the spawn portal. Like, and being able to show the progression of that only helps us further our position to say, hey, we really think this is going to be a good game. Because the reality is when people don't see everything that we see in the progression of the game, people are just sitting here going, man, these guys are just a bunch of fucking white knight crazy asses, like that believe in a fucking, believe in a dream that's never going to come to fruition. But the reality is we have seen progression within the game already, on a small scale, on a big scale. And so giving us something to lay that out, to put in our back pocket, to have conversation about, oh man, look at how they handled this. Like, boom, they fixed that within a week. Oh, this issue's been here for like a month. Okay, maybe we can try to focus in, try to give some better feedback on that. I really think that it helps all the way around. It helps the testers test better, and it helps people who are just looking in on what's going on understand more of what a true alpha development is.
Well, and that was it. How many videos came out right after the dev stream where Steven explained a little bit more about the dev controller?
Yep.
I heard so many different content creators' opinions or viewpoints, and I think some of them had it completely wrong in terms of what they were saying the AI controller issue was. Don't need to get into that, but like generally it's just like, give us the info so we can get it out there. We love you guys. We love your game. Like the video I posted today was like, this is why I love Intrepid. And I'm not trying to white knight. As I said, I'm sitting here giving you criticism, right? I'm not sitting here just white knighting. I'm saying here. But yeah, I guess we've kind of beaten this topic to death. I think we're all at the same point. So why don't we just move on and just leave it at, give us communication, give us updates. And I would say my understanding is a lot earlier on in development, they were very good at that. And yes. I think they've just gotten a little more overwhelmed and a lot more going on, a lot more people. And instead of individually replying to certain people that are, pinging certain devs and mods and all that, just give us the blanket statement. Give us once a weekly. Go ahead.
One more thing on it. Here's an idea. I'm assuming that Intrepid has their short list of official CCs, whether or not they've, whether they're not going to announce it yet or in the future, whenever that time frame comes. Give that information to your official CCs and allow them to put it out into the community. Allow those people to deliver the information. If you don't want to add extra stuff, just an idea. Toast. I don't want to put more on your plate. I'm just using your name here because it's easy. Have somebody Toast or Toast, or just somebody that's just kind of taking notes on what the issues are, what fixes have been implemented, and just copy paste that out to the CCs and let people.
And it sounds like that is what that job they're hiring for is, right? The CC relations officer is going to be. And I guess that's the issue. We're not seeing things from the inside. It's very easy for us to say, well, just do this. But I'm guessing they're all stretched so thin right now, trying to do 5 million different jobs. So I can understand where they're coming from. We do see them starting to make moves towards that. So yeah, when we are sitting here giving this criticism, I am trying to be empathetic and see things from the other point of view a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it can definitely be frustrating. Like me and you know, I know Half Tilt and I know Fane have all applied to the official content creator program. We're just sitting here twiddling our thumbs and like, we get it, but it's like, oh my god, it's eating at my soul.
So I have a question for you guys moving forward, and this was sort of lightly talked about today in the Discord. So moving forward, when we have this weekend and then the month-long test, do you guys think that it would behoove Intrepid with the NDA, they're maintaining the NDA drop, we're going to show the game, to not do sieges? They said they were going to do 2 sieges a day. That's going to be a real bad look if twice a day the server crashes. Do you think that it would be better on their end to literally just put more content, more quests, more mobs, more dungeon, flesh that kind of stuff out, maybe another class, and move forward there and fix the sieges on a private, still NDA'd server? Do you think that would be a good plan for them? And do you think they're going to do that?
So I personally think, again, not a coder, not a developer, I don't know how much work I'm saying this is. I think and actually suspect that we might kind of get small weekly updates and more content coming out as the month-long test goes on. That is what I would like to see happen, because as it is right now, there's not enough content for a month-long test. You're going to have a lot of big streamers. I mean, shit, you 3 guys in here have literally murdered the wiki 12 times over each. So like, you guys can make content out of very little content. Like, and I really do think that that's a skill. Like, but when you have like a big streamer come along and they play it for a weekend, I mean, we're all thinking it. Asmongold's going to pick up the game for a weekend, and then he's going to be done, because he will literally do everything that he feels like he can do within the game. He's going to no life it for like 10 to 12 hours a day for an entire weekend, and he's going to be done. Yeah, I know we can't all be you with your 72. Oh, sorry, 48 hour stream.
We're down to 48 because I regretted everything that I promised. But it's 48 plus. 48 plus, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 49.
Got Asmongold better. I'm better at streaming, longer stream, better hairline. Let's go. Come on.
Oh.
Ooh.
The eyebrows.
Come at me, Zach.
Okay.
Come at me.
So if we all end up in the official content creator program, and so does Asmongold, I think we need to convince him to grow a real beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Any interaction we have with him should be, hey man, have you ever thought about growing a beard out?
Beard ball.
Yeah.
I don't know,
beard
man.
ball.
I think he's kind of got like one of those ratty beards. Like, I don't think he actually.
It's patchy. It's bad.
Patchy and thin, and no, you're good though, because it fills out down. I mean, that's what mine does. Mine's not super thick on the sides, but it fills out going down. So I think his would just be like a hair over here and like 2 hairs that way. And
I mean,
super.
He'd look more like
his issue is he doesn't shower or take care of himself. So
correct. So it's never gonna fill up.
I love that we're just shitting on Aspen. But like, yeah,
just put some broccoli.
And that's something I realized. I originally started growing a beard. I was like, oh, it's COVID. It's easy. Like, I just grow a beard and it doesn't matter. And then I was like, my beard takes more time than my hair to take care of. By the time I wash it, I put balm in it, I brush it, or I comb it out, then I brush it out. I'm trying to take care of this damn sexy thing. And this is the first time I've had it this big, and it's floofing. It's going floofy.
Super. I want to ask you something. I want to ask you
real fast.
Go ahead, and then I got a good one for you.
I saw Super Wife typing, and I said, "Don't type it. I'm about to say it." Super Wife gets out of the bathroom before I do.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, stop.
That's
I'm
because
not
she's
even
a
kidding.
quality woman.
I'm not even
Wow.
kidding.
How do you complain about being the punching bag of the night and then just offer something like that up? How
Listen,
dare you,
I-
Super?
Do you see me?
It's
Do you think
so-
I did not realize I was life's punching bag like when middle school hit?
So
You
here's my question, Super.
just imagine little ginger Super walking around the halls. Yeah, exactly. All
Okay.
right.
Oh,
I'm-
wait.
I'm
Real
used to
question.
it.
Real question.
I'm used to it.
When did you hit puberty and start growing that red facial hair? Was it
I
like
had-
12?
Good question.
No, I had peach fuzz all the way through high school, and then I shaved every day, almost every day for 6 years while I was in the military. Got out, said fuck shaving, like almost everybody does in the military, and was like, oh shit, I can grow a beard.
All right.
Ooh.
Yeah, I had no idea.
And I'm
nothing
not gonna.
nothing in my genetics told me that I could. Nothing about my upbringing told me that I could. It just happened.
And I'm not going to bring this to Fane because we have yet to see his beard game. He talks big game, but I mean,
Oh, it's okay. That's when it's winter, guys. This is
Uh-uh.
summer in California. I'm lucky the state's not on fire. Okay, I will grow the beard in the winter. It's 1 billion degrees outside right now. It is like Satan's asshole outside right now. It is so bad.
But
It is so bad.
I was going to say half tilt. You've got the beard game on point. Yours always looks immaculate. What's going on there?
Dude, I wash it in the shower with a bit of body wash, and I trim it periodically.
That's it? No balm,
That's
no
it.
oil?
No, I like Lady Tilt bought me some oil, and I put it in once in a while when I remember that I have it. But it's never become a habit for me, so I often just forget that it's even there, and I'll go months without using it.
I don't know.
So
If I don't use it, my beard is like everywhere.
Oh, you get the
And-
sun, like it grows out, right?
Yeah, it's just like
It's
everywhere.
like it's a chin fro. Yeah.
So if you
You
go
have to
back
make
and look
light
at some of my YouTube videos, the ones I record in the morning, like the ones where I've just kind of like woken up and just like I gotta get a video out or something like that, it's like very obvious. Versus the ones where like I take a shower, I wash it, I comb and balm it, and then like I let it dry properly. It's a very obvious difference.
those are the
It's like
thumbnails.
feral Bartik.
I would just
Feral.
like to point out in chat, in case you missed it, Fane, and I want everybody else to see this. Wizzy, her beard is bigger than yours. So just throw that
I
out
would
there.
believe it.
Just
I
throw
would
that
believe
out
it.
there.
Honestly, I believe that 100%. All right, Super. Now I'm gonna call you out because you're gonna be a smart ass. So now I gotta call you out. Okay. So I told my community that when I reach partner, I will shave my head for them. And you guys know how much I love my hair. It's thick, it's luscious, it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Super. If you ever reach Twitch partner, will you shave your beard?
No.
What?
No,
Not for the
That-
people that support you?
That's not
No.
his goal.
Unfollow,
I
unsubscribe.
support
all right.
him
No,
because
even
of his
even if
beard.
it was my goal, you know what?
Stop right now. New goal. If we ever get big enough to buy a original Pokemon booster box and we get a Charizard out of it, will you shave your beard?
Nope.
What will it take for you to shave your beard?
Oh, tree fitty.
Every mirror in the world to be destroyed.
Super. Does this napkin smell like chloroform to you?
Let's just say I damn near cried when I had an unfortunate trimming accident, and the guard slipped as I was going against the grain, and I had a nice, I think it was this side, I had a nice, just big old gap right here in my beard, and I had to shave it all off. Like I was literally sitting there panicking, like trying to like cover it up with like the other parts of the beard. Like it looks fine. It looks fine. This will work. This will work.
But Super.
Braid it all.
First,
Has your wife ever
Yeah.
seen you without a beard? Has she ever
Yeah.
seen you without a beard?
Yeah.
Oh, super wife.
I
This
mean,
isn't
they-
going to be good for YouTube. I'm going to cut this part out of the YouTube. Super wife. We need to chat.
Can we get pictures, please?
If Pixar, it didn't happen.
All right, it didn't happen.
All right. So we've gone on our tangent, which was amazing. But let's get back to ashes. And I don't have a topic.
Ashes?
What are we talking about here? Someone give me a topic.
Female bearded dwarves. Go.
Oh, damn.
Totally,
All right, back to beards.
totally reasonable. Honestly, I think that the fact that they have like the bearded female dwarves. Okay, actually, let's go on something else then. Do you guys think that we're going to see any character creation upgrades in this Alpha 1 test because they're very basic right now. We've got like 4 races, 3 classes, a few hairstyles, a few beard styles. Are we going to get upgrades to that?
No.
No.
No?
I don't think that adds any value.
Yeah,
Not
It
honestly,
adds,
test
what are
and
you
not
talking
to
Well, it
about?
adds
So much
value,
value.
but not for
Do you guys
Alpha.
all play as a dwarf, right? Everyone here plays as a dwarf.
I've
in
been
the Alpha?
branching out, man. Been branching out.
You got it.
I've-
Super, you
I've
don't play as a
touched
dwarf?
the only time I played a dwarf was when I made a female dwarf and picked the mage class and called it Grumpy Guy because he absolutely loathes the idea of a female bearded dwarf and he hates mages. And so I was running around the server with his name, and literally everybody in the chat was like, "Yo, when did Grumpy get in on the testing? Wait, why is he a dwarf?"
I love that. I love that so much.
All right. So here's a real question. You guys think you're gonna get people imitating you? We're all content creators here, right? Like getting in the game and taking your name and going around and running around as you.
No. Wait, in alpha or in launch?
Either one. Alpha 2.
'Cause I think-
Let's go to Alpha 2 then.
I believe we're supposed to have name reservation in by alpha 2. So I'm going to go with no.
Even if it
hold
wasn't by Alpha 2, I think friends would do it like I did to Grumpy, but I don't think we would necessarily like have like I don't think we're like that status. I mean, we already have an Asmon mauled like
Yeah.
in Ash's testing. So obviously if you're big enough it'll happen at any level.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm
But
still not convinced that that's not actually him, by the way.
If anyone from Intrepid is listening, can that be a perk of the official content creator program that your name is officially reserved on every single server?
If anyone from Intrepid is listening, can that be a perk? And then also you give me something else for my Kickstarter package where I bought that. And then also get rid of my 3-day head start and my monster tokens. I would like all of those gone, please. Half tilt, pro or con monster tokens? Yes or no? Good system, bad system?
Right now, it's a no for me. That's
Smart man.
an expansion item at the most. It's
All right, DPS meters.
DPS meters. No,
Just go down the trail.
Just a good guy. Honestly, just a good guy.
no,
I love Half Tilt. That's why I love Half Tilt. He's so smart.
All right, Half Tilt. Do you think they can pull off no DPS meters?
Oh, absolutely. They just don't put them in. Done. If people want to bitch and moan about it, let them. But I don't think that's going to. If that makes or breaks the game for you, then there's another issue there, and you're not playing the game to have.
That's not
enjoy the game.
Yeah, that's not the issue I'm talking about. I'm talking about, do you think they can not put it in the game, but people are still going to figure it out, right? Like
if there's combat logs in the game, which you would expect to be a thing, because that's still important information, I think. Yeah, people are going to be able to test it and measure it to some extent. Are they going to be able to take it down to, hey, you're 3 DPS better than so-and-so, so we pick you over them for this raid spot? Probably not. You know, I think a big thing for that DPS meters offer from a more macro standpoint is weeding out like the weakest link in the group, seeing who is not executing mechanics because their damage is so low that they died early. People that are AFK or just not paying attention to things.
yeah.
That's some of the more positive values to me of a DPS meter. So we're going to lose that. But the min-maxing aspect of it, I don't think that that's going to be a relevant thing as much as it is in other games. A large part of that, because every server is going to be different. There's such a diversity of gear options, build options, and you're not going to tell everyone to be like, okay, you have to play this one flavor out of 64 flavors. If you don't have the chocolate ice cream out of 64 flavors, you're wrong, and you're not coming to our birthday party. So
yeah, so I think you hit it right on the nail there. It's not the DPS meters themselves. I think people are going to be able to figure out DPS meters. They're going to be in the game. That's just the way every other game has done it. There have been like no DPS meters, and then someone comes along and figures out how the API works or figures out how to read a combat log, and some kind of form of DPS meter comes into play. But what I think the key difference there is, first of all, combat is too situational in Ashes of Creation. Like, you can't, like, a DPS meter does not accurately represent what is going on in combat. Yeah, maybe that person was sitting there defending a control point, or maybe that person literally like fought off the, you've got your attack squadron coming out and trying to hit control points during sieges, and you're part of the defense crew and you're fighting off the enemy, but you did no damage, but you were an integral part of that defense because you held off that objective. I think in raids, and we talked about this with Zillin when he was on, about how raids and ashes are not going to be like World of Warcraft. They aren't this like super crazy like min max aspect. This is not the game for that. This is not going to be the game where it's hardcore raiding, and they might add some in with some instance content maybe with the divine nodes and stuff like that. But just the way you're looking at it, raiding with it being open world, and you have to constantly be worried about someone coming in and ganking you while you're clearing this dungeon or raid. This stuff, like, you may have like a squadron sitting out of this raid to, give information and, defend against anyone coming in to fight against you. I think there's just too many situations, too many issues where DPS meters just don't really give you an accurate representation of what's going on. And maybe with a super crazy in-depth meter, you might be able to figure out a little bit more, but unless they give you the entire API, you're never going to develop that DPS meter, and so it's going to become obsolete. That's my opinion.
It's not going to exist. The min-maxing in this game is not going to exist. All these people are like, I'm hardcore and I'm going to min-max. I'm sorry. Between the 8 archetypes, the 8 secondary archetypes, so 64 classes, then you're going to add in your racial buffs, your social organization, your religious, your guild. There's just going to be too many augments and too many buffs in this game for you to have a good enough sample size to truly know, is player A doing better than player B. That I've always had that opinion. I just don't think it's going to exist. People will. I agree with you, Bard. I think that there are people that will figure out how to break the API for just raw DPS, but I don't think that that's going to be indicative. Like you said, it's not really going to be indicative of the situation, right? This guy might be great, but he might suck in a raid. This guy might be great in this dungeon. He might suck in open world. This guy's a great PvPer, but he'll suck everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it goes back to the reputation side of things, right? I mean, it's going to be more what you are good at. I mean, it's very representative of the real world. Like my dad's been in the car business for decades. Like, I mean, he was basically born into it. If we have any kind of conversation about buying a car, selling a car, anything like that, we go to him. But I'm not going to go to him if we're, looking at, I'm not going to go to him if I'm like talking about video games. Right. And I think that that's going to be represented in Ashes in a similar aspect where it's like, hey, we need the mage that's really good at, utility or something like that. And it's going to be like, oh, Bard, you're the utility mage. That's what you like to play. That's what you're really good at. We need you to come in on this one for the first kill. And so it's more going to be everybody's going to be kind of creating their own niche within the node, within whatever community they're in, and doing that and min-maxing that and trying to be as good as they can be at that. At least that's what I'm kind of thinking about it. Rather than I'm a mage, how do I min-max mage? It's going to be more like I'm super, how do I min-max myself and how I play the game?
And
yeah,
there's the factor too that it is open world. It's not going to be, hey, go talk to your class trainer, spend 50 gold and respec to do PvP content for the rest of my day. You're going to have eyes in the back of your head at all times. You could be in the middle of that dungeon and maybe another group doesn't come from the top of the dungeon down to you to come hunt you. Maybe there's a group that was deeper, that was farming the last boss for the last 2 hours, and they're now on their way out and they see you and your group's at half health and they're like, easy pickings, let's take them, and wipe you out from there. You're going to have eyes in the back of your head at all times, and you're going to have to be able to adapt on the fly to that. And I feel like DPS meters in a game like WoW is taken in a vacuum. It's you have your captured instance that you're fighting in. You're uninterrupted. The only thing going on is you and the AI mechanics. If you're executing mechanics and you didn't cast pylon at the start of the fight and just stood there, then you can win. Unless you're severely undergeared. I mean, even like Progress, one of the huge raiding guilds, the tryhards in classic WoW TBC, they went in and cleared all the T4 raid bosses in the first 24 hours of TBC being launched. You know, like
oh yeah.
the
Well,
power
I
levels,
think
they weren't even level 70 yet.
I think that's more because the way that ratings developed over time, when people who know how to raid in current, in retail WoW, the old WoW raids are not difficult. Like what was most difficult about that back then, we were all younger.
Yeah.
Our attention spans were a lot lower. Our coordination and working with other people was a lot less. And you had 40-man raids. That was the hardest part, was filling the roster and maintaining good communications with 40-man. So I mean, like the raids themselves weren't that difficult, but I think that does give a good parallel, because the raids, whether it be instance or open world, I think it's going to be a little bit more similar to what we see. I mean, the siege testing. I mean, the dragon bosses that are in there, those being scaled up, maybe a couple more mechanics. That's the kind of rating I see within Ashes.
So I was gonna
a
say,
little bit more of a callback to old school WoW rather than current WoW. And we talked about it last week. Like, if you want the super hardcore, super sweaty rating where you're min-maxing every single stat point, every single and only running the right spec for the right fight and all of this different stuff, like it's just not going to be this game.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, you didn't get into the siege testing today, but we tried to take down the fire dragon as attackers, and it had a whole bunch of new mechanics.
I heard.
Yeah, it was. I will say, I mean, maybe it's because we don't understand them. I do think I'm torn. The fire dragon,
So
or the
were they-
dragons seem a little overtuned right now in terms of health. It's just taking a really long time to kill them. But maybe that's a good thing, to give people enough time to respond. So I'm kind of torn there. But it does kind of feel bad to like literally have. I mean, we had like 60 people there out of 100 people, and it was probably going to take us over 10 minutes to kill this thing. And so it was kind of like. And obviously, well, yeah, this is alpha, tuning hasn't happened, but that is kind of a question of like, how long should these open world raids take? Because
How many bosses are we talking?
I mean, I guess that depends. One boss. I mean, we're talking about 3 bosses in terms of dragons. I guess the question is, how long do you want it to take versus how hard should it be? Whereas at least right now, a lot of it is just kind of standing there doing nothing. It doesn't feel like a mythic raid in WoW where you're constantly reacting to something and there's something going on and you're watching your DBM timers, and you know exactly when things are coming and when to react, and so you can always have something going on. But there was a lot of time where I was just sitting there pressing Q over and over again, and then hitting my abilities as they came up, and I was like, this is really boring for a 10+ minute fight. And once again, I do just want to phrase this is alpha. It's not fully balanced. But as I said, I'm kind of torn, because you do want it to take that long if you're going to give a massive buff. Also, right now, the cap for Siege is 100 versus 100. This is 250 versus 250, and we have 150 people on the dragon and 100 people, keeping them back at the walls. That's a very different aspect. So
yeah, I mean, but when you talk about open world raiding, when you say, how hard do you want it to be, in terms of the raids, not castle sieges, but in terms of the raids, it's going to be as hard as you want it to be, right? And even these dragons are going to scale based on the amount of people that you send. So people will probably find some sort of balance as to, this is the point of diminishing returns where we're sending too many people, so make sure only 55 people are going.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about the open world raids, when people say, well, how hard is the raid going to be and how long can it take? That's up to you, right? Because if you defeat the first boss and just murder it, and it's just gone in a blink of an eye, the second boss and third boss and fourth boss get harder. It gets harder as based on how you did on previous bosses.
Well, I guess
so. I think that kind of stuff is totally up to you, which is interesting.
One thing to make clear real quick is there's a difference between an open world boss and a raid, right? A raid where you actually go down and defeat multiple bosses versus one just free roaming.
So if we're talking about world bosses, which is that single boss out in the open world,
and that would be the
giant
siege ones, right?
Well,
Kinda.
For all intents and purposes, let's make the
yeah.
argument that those are open world bosses.
Yeah, one individual dragon as opposed to like 3, 4, or 5. In my head, like if the rewards are good, again, it's all about you want to feel rewarded for the time that you put in. I actually think it would be quite fun to have like a 20-minute single boss fight where you need the vast majority of your group to be executing mechanics, like and something that Zillan brought up about kind of the sandbox raiding aspect is you're able to res people pretty consistently. Like as long as you have mana, you can res people. It's not like WoW where you only have 2 reses, every 5 minutes or whatever the timer is there. And so having something be a little bit more longer, a little bit more punishing. Like when I hear world boss, I don't want it to resemble WoW at all. I want it to be this giant behemoth of a Hulk in the world that literally takes probably 100 people to go out there to even have a shot at getting it down. And then to what you're saying, Fane, like, okay, if you bring 200 people, I don't think the world boss should scale, by the way. I think the world boss should just exist in the world. And you should need basically a minimum number of people for it to be even feasibly possible. And then if you bring more people, then it's a little bit easier, right? Yeah.
But haven't they said it's already going to scale? Haven't they said that maybe not in size,
let
but
me
in
clarify.
mechanically,
I think.
So they have not. So yeah, life will not scale. What will scale is certain mechanics. So they want it to feel very natural, where suddenly this boss feels panicked and starts doing these extra mechanics because there's too many people. So it will scale, but not in the degree we're used to, like World of Warcraft, where you can go in with flexible rating, and that shit's fucking dumb. Like that is ridiculous. It's cheesable. It's dumb. Like yeah, I just don't like that system. So yeah, I guess the other question then, Seeper, is you're saying you want to be able to go in with 100 people. Well, only 40 people fit into one group. How does that work then?
You have multiple groups. You split up the groups accordingly.
But how do you get the loot? Because only the person. I guess you have to then. So you want it to be big enough that there's multiple groups, and then whoever gets the loot has to divvy it up to multiple groups. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I guess first of all, I don't think that there should necessarily be I would like the UI to be set up in a way to that we could have 100-person groups, and that you basically choose who you display on your screen up to 40 people, but basically for loot purposes, you can have 100 people in your group. And then you can basically pick whether you want 10 people showing on your screen, 20 people, 40 people, and then that is essentially a tool built into the game that this has never been talked about. This is literally just kind of an idea that I've had about how that would, but then, if I'm, let's say I'm leader of group A, which is like 10 mages and a tank and a cleric or something like that. Like, and that's our group. And we take like the back left foot of the dragon or something like that. And that's, that's our group. I only need to see those people. I don't necessarily need to see everybody else. I can set it up that way, view it that way, and good to go. So, I mean, I see a workaround there. Again, don't know how much work that is, but that'd be kind of cool to have that customization there. But it's not, I could be wrong here, but even if there are 2 groups attacking the same target, there just needs to be a minimum damage threshold achieved for the group to get loot. And that's just to avoid the one person coming in and tagging it and then standing off to the side. And then whichever group does the most damage will get additional loot.
So what they've said is whoever tags it gets a 10% extra damage taken, and then you have to do over 50% of the damage to get the loot.
Yeah, wasn't the idea that if you're the first group to tag it, to get the loot, you're gonna have to do essentially 40% for
41.
let's assume a 2 groups versus the other group that's going to have to then overcome your damage plus some if they're the second group in,
Yeah,
which I think is a
so
super
60.
fair mechanic.
I guess
Yeah.
61 and 41 to
Yeah,
really
yeah.
get out.
Yeah,
Otherwise you
yeah.
could
I always
technically
think of
meet
it
in
as
the
like a
middle.
40-60 split, right? Like
Well,
whoever's gonna
That's what
hit
they've
that,
proposed.
whoever's gonna hit that threshold first is going to end up
40
getting
point whatever plus or 60 point whatever plus, right? Because
It's a
Um,
first.
you do-
It's a first to 50, but if you're the first one to hit it, you got an extra 10% head start.
More or less.
essentially, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, at least my understanding is there's no way for multiple groups to get loot.
So I mean
Not
that would absolutely be an issue. I mean, you know, if they didn't implement something where you can have larger than 40-man groups, I part of me also kind of thinks that if you're in a well-oiled guild and community, you can send 100 people.
Oh, yeah,
and whatever
yeah.
whatever group gets the loot, then it gets gets
Mhm.
kicked up to the officers or however people are doing loot, and then gets distributed down. You know, like it was like everybody had access to the loot.
Yeah, you have a member of your officer group or loot council or whatever in each of the raid groups, and those confer to distribute it amongst the guild as best suits the team.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's what DKP is for, right?
Oh my god.
Everyone just
I know
looks at
I
me
know
like,
the
"Fuck
legendary
you."
world bosses are typically being tuned for the 40-man groups,
Mhm.
but and then I think it's supposed to be more so either existing or scaling mechanics when there's more people in there to prevent that 100-person Zerg from just overthrowing the
Mhm.
boss. I
Mhm.
would love to see something along the lines of what Super's talking about, where maybe there's like a cataclysmic event with some ancient general zoning in from the void is coming to attack the planet, and like the entire node or like this 25% of Vera needs anybody in this region can band together to take this thing down, and everybody earns some rewards
And-
who participated in that event. Like those types of big events in the game would be absolutely incredible. As far as a time to kill, I don't want to see just one. I think a 10-minute is fine. I think a 20-minute is fine. I would also see a 5-minute. But what are your threats during that time frame? A 20-minute fight, I don't want to be 19 minutes into that fight and then all of a sudden some mechanic just wipes everybody. Like that, people are going to be pissed off if that's the case. If I just spent 19 minutes like tryharding and focusing to get this fight down, and then all of a sudden we just get wiped because RNG said bye. Like, no thanks. But in a 5-minute fight, those types of mechanics, as long as they are avoidable or mitigatable to some extent, would be awesome. And those are some dynamic differences that you could have between the boss.
And I think you hit on something really cool there, and that's the aspect of, you know, this big boss that everyone has to band together on the server. This goes back to, you know, it'll give everyone on the server a reason to unite for some reason. That to me is very much something that we'll see in a patch or an expansion. And that's like when I look at this game, I don't just look at this base value of what they've put in. I look at all the potential future content that they can add in just almost seamlessly, right? It doesn't even feel like the game has changed. So I have a question for you guys. Why don't we go around? What would you love to see and absolutely think is the coolest idea for some kind of expansion or patch content to come after release, after we've already seen the game, 6 months in, and everything's running smoothly. We've seen, different nodes rise and fall, and we've seen the world evolve. What would be a really cool idea that you think would just be awesome to see them implement?
I want them to put in content into the game and not tell us it's there, but not tell us what it is or where to find it. So it's like, hey, we just implemented this cool new raid. Here's a cinematic video of the raid. Here's a video of the devs going through and doing the raid. And you guys got to figure out where the hell this raid is. Because I think that gets the whole server that's been fighting for all these months back together to discover a thing.
It creates a race for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
A big, like, to have it, you're able
That's
to just
cool,
put
yeah.
races in, not just like WoW expansion, like every 2 years we've got a race and then we'll see what happens, to actually have these races in between servers. You can unite against the other server and then you guys go back your separate ways in the end.
And I think that's a really interesting idea, and it's something I've thought of before, is this idea of you can implement this competition on a much grander scale. You can make it server versus server. So basically, you can flip everything on end, right? You've got servers that are all cooperating together. They all have the best gear in the world. And then you have servers that have just been warring each other. And suddenly you're like, boom, time to work together and figure this out and just see who comes out on top. And it'll just flip every server on its end. And like that was when Steven was talking about these intra guild arenas, right? Like at the end of a certain season or a certain patch, having the best of the best, go into the celestial death match. Like I was like, okay, you've already thought about some of this stuff of what's gonna happen of this cross server.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's got at least some penciled ideas for like 3-4 expansions down the road. Never mind other separations of the IP into other tangible things to, whether it's a tabletop game or a TCG or whatever it might be. One thing I would really love to see, and I feel like it's going to happen eventually, is us taking the fight to the ancients into their home world.
Into the void.
Ooh.
Into the void. Let's just, because I've heard rumors. I don't know if this was leaked from Intrepid or something. Of we're not just confined to Vera, but the ability to actually expand to other planets or other dimensions, and going into the void to go after them. I think would be really cool. I know, like going back into some lore diving, Aramis, when he smashed his necklace on the ground during the APOC logs. He created a portal and they got out of their cave that they were trapped in because they went to a third dimension. Wow. Yeah. I guess we don't necessarily know if it's a third dimension or if it was just an uninhabited part of the void.
A different plane of existence, I think, is the way to put it, because this is very much based on D&D, and he's talked about the planes and their own levels, right? The void is at the very bottom level. That is as far away from the top level, and the top level is where the essence exists. Right below that is the plane of existence where the gods exist, as close to the essence as possible. And then you have your levels down. I'm assuming that Vera is somewhere in the middle, close enough to the essence to get magic. I'm assuming Sanctus is farther down, and I'm assuming the void is like the very bottom level. And so that's very much a D&D setting of how these planes of existence work, and the closer they are to certain magical planes, the more magic they have. And obviously this is all based off of Pathfinder, but I think there's so much potential, not only for different planes but also a multiverse, right? I think the idea of like, hey, we've all come into this Vera, but this Vera is a multiverse, and it's very easy to play off as like, okay, there's a reason everything developed differently, because it's a different dimension. And that's like, it's kind of like mixing old school fantasy with the Marvel universe and comic books, and it's so cool.
So many possibilities with that too.
Yeah,
so many places. We could have a return to Sanctus one day, because we have no idea anything about Sanctus other than that it was devoid of the essence. That's really all we know. It was a safe haven.
How cool would it be if they built a survival game that was back in Sanctus?
Ooh,
so like we know this
magic,
is the
basic survival.
This is the starting IP, right? But what if they take it back and it's like, okay, all these people just came through the apocalypse and now they have no magic in a brand new world. Survival game, go.
They have to relearn all the tangible things. Magic used to sweep my room for me.
Oh my god, I'm getting like,
do it. Now I have to get off and do it myself like a sucker,
We just create room sweeping simulator? Is that what just happened here?
I mean,
that's called House Flipper.
House Flipper.
Steven, hire all of us. We just sold your next IP.
Yeah, we got you. Don't worry about it.
We got you, bro.
I am super big on massive world-changing, world-reactive events. I mean, one of the ones that I mentioned in a previous episode was I would love to see like a blood moon rise or something like that. And again, we don't know that this is happening. We're a giant server-wide notification goes out and says blood moon has started to rise. And next thing you know, all around the populated areas of the world, holes from the underrealm are opening, and the creatures from the underrealm are coming up. And for a week, they're doing this. They're attacking nodes and they're attacking players without, just relentlessly, and just stuff that causes people to have to say, yo, we're at war with each other right now, but we're going to hold up. We'll go back to fighting each other in a minute. We need to take care of this, because if we don't take care of this, everybody's going to lose their node, or everybody's going to lose like a level of their node, like whatever the punishment there is. And I think it would need to be extreme to like help force people to, want to participate. But like stuff like that. I mean, the one idea where I went, okay, this game has the potential to be very cool, was when Steven was talking about, you might be mining deep, in the Kickstarter video, you might be mining deep into a mountain, you might mine too far, mine too much in one area, and you've awoken the dragon. That kind of world reactive stuff, just, I mean, that is the kind of stuff that is just absolutely awesome. It can be across all servers. We can then talk to our friends on other servers and be like, yo, we cleared out this area of all the underrealm creatures, and it opened up a new dungeon that was available for like a month or something like that, and it went away like through cleansing. Like, there's just so much that they can do with it, and I love the world reactive events on a large scale.
Yeah, and so like that was it for me. Is like that's you said it exactly. Like I want to see horde events. And this goes back to my good old days of Warcraft 3, Warcraft 2 custom games. Like I loved like, hero defense where various different ways you could, do it with hiring different NPCs. But you had your hero and you were defending against these waves that were coming in. Like I mean, I miss those days of good old Blizzard custom games. Like I used to love Blizzard so much, and everything they did, they just gave so much. They just gave so much to the player, and it's like, go have fun, do whatever you want to do. You can take this as competitive or as fun as you want. And I just remember having so much fun in those sieges. I mean, not really so horde events. And it's kind of like a tower defense too, right? Like that's how tower defense evolved. And then like there was these combinations of hero defense, tower defense games, and like I would just love to see something like that in Ashes of Creation, especially in a game that is this big and complex. So it's not just you figuring it out. You actually have to coordinate with people and figure it out with them. And so just that issue is like whenever some servers are starting to die off, people are getting fed up with the meta on their server, throw in this world-changing event. Just be like, well, now there's volcanoes spawning everywhere on the world. We don't know what's happening. There's MPs. Yeah, there's mobs everywhere, and go ahead and figure what's going on out. And that, like, as a content creator, that would be so much fun to just be like, here's what's going on. Here's what's happening. We're trying to figure this out. Nobody knows. It would just be like so awesome and exciting.
Do you want that to happen on every server the same way? Or would you like to see it where maybe how the server develops depends on how these world events change the server?
So, I mean, just to jump in and answer it for myself, I think the event itself happens on every server, but I still think that the conclusion of the event needs to be reflected on how each server individually decided to handle it. Now, you might have one server that, clears out, the Eastern continent gets cleared out very well, just in the example that I brought up, where, and pushing back the underrealm creatures. Well, that might spawn a giant world boss on the Western continent because not enough was taken care of over there. And so that kind of creates an event over there. Or both continents clear out very well, but we forget about the waterways. And now we have a new naval raid boss that's there for a little bit. And so I think having a different outcome, but tied to the same event, I think speaks very true to already what they're going for with how servers will develop differently.
Absolutely. And I really want to iterate something that you said earlier, Super, and having, like, if you fail to defeat this server-wide boss, it needs to feel like a cataclysmic event. It's not just, hey, we've introduced this giant boss that everybody needs to fight towards, and well, if you guys just don't have the participation or you're too busy fighting amongst yourselves, then it's just going to take longer for you to defeat it. No, there's a timeline, and we don't know what that timeline is. Like that's not information that should be given out to the player base. Yes, I think every server should get the boss at the same time, but that's really the only thing that would be synonymous from one server to another in regards to the event. Beyond that, it's 100% up to that individual server's performance. I think active server population should maybe influence the requirements to defeat the boss a little bit, so it's relatively fair that way, to be reasonable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love it to be a cataclysmic event. If the ancient generals are coming down, like they're bringing some of their top tier guys from their world to come in and fight, and it's going to take a server wide collaboration to take this thing down. If you fail to do that, like I don't know, but it needs to be detrimental. I think to an extent, like all nodes are destroyed and set back to zero,
and here,
I don't know about de-leveling characters or anything to that extent, but just everything that's been built and constructed is just wiped out, like scorched earth. You're starting from with the shirt on your back and get going again.
And here's the interesting thing, right? So to do the content we're talking about right now, where it's unique and different for each server, where there's, different things that happen within the world based on what happens or how well you succeed at your task, this takes an incredible amount of development. It takes a lot of work, a lot of content, and this is something I talked about. I did a YouTube video on the business of Intrepid, and it didn't do very well. People didn't like it for whatever reason, but part of people did enjoy it. It was very polarizing. Some people did like it, some people didn't. But part of the thing I was going to say is, and that was like, along with the $15 a month is not necessarily enough. If we want the base, if we just want, to keep moving along, getting our random content, expansions, whatever, just every once in a while, it's fine. But the other aspect is we have to trust Steven here. He needs to hold true to his values of taking the money he makes from this game and putting it back into development. We need to get he needs to keep hiring people, keep getting the studio working, not say, oh, we just made, $1 billion this year. We're going to lay off a bunch of people because we don't need them. Yeah, we don't need more content like a certain other company. So like, that's the idea there is, if you have faith in Steven, there's nothing wrong with him monetizing. There's nothing wrong with his cash shop. There's nothing wrong with the $15 a month. Yes, let's get him money as long as Intrepid holds true to their values. And then the other thing I said in that video is they've set themselves up for failure if they ever don't actually do this. So if they've done a holier than thou marketing scheme where this is what they're doing, and as soon as they go away from that, everyone's gonna be like pitchforks and torches, right? Like, you said this was not pay to win. You said you were gonna do this. However, that's my other concern with a private company. We have no idea where that money's going.
Yeah. Well, and I think I don't necessarily think that you need to introduce a cosmetic cash shop to supplement that income. I do understand the point that you're making. Where I fall back on is, to me, it's almost kind of like saying, hey, we already think that the game's not, and I'm not saying that this is what they're saying, but like, I take New World, for example. To me, the introduction of their version of the cash shop, even without the boosts and all the, the increased leveling and all that stuff that might come out in the future with that, even just in its current state, to me says that they're not comfortable enough with the current iteration of the game, that they already need to start selling these additional things to make the game more playable. If the game is good, people will sub. And if you have 1 million subs, you got $15 million.
Mm-hmm.
So
a month.
I know. Play with
very
me on the math here.
oversimplified.
play with me on the math here.
We can
but
play
yes,
with
I
you on the
know.
math. I'm gonna let you go on your point, and then we're gonna come back to the math of this because I want some stuff to really consider here.
Okay. And so I think if the game is good, and that will then be reflected within the player base, people will play it, people will pay to play it. And I think that again, don't know the work, don't know the cost of a lot of this stuff, but in my head, many games have done this. I mean, look at WoW in its prime. They didn't have the shop stuff, they didn't have all of that additional stuff. They took a hard stance saying it would never come in. Fast forward, 5 years, here we are.
Activision, thank you.
Yeah, right. And so for me, I understand what you're saying, but I think for me, if the game is successful, my hope is that's not something that we would have to rely on for content. I never want to rely. It feels weird to have to rely on that additional injection just to have good content. But I mean, maybe I just don't know enough about the space to.
I guess that's my point is we shouldn't need to rely on it, but that extra money that comes in, as long as they hold true to their values and reinvest it in a quality experience, hire lots of mods to make sure everything is going smooth, give the mods lots of training. But I mean, we've all seen games with plenty of mods that suck. So like give it mods lots of training, invest back into lots of development. Having these unique and cool things that are very unique to each server, that's going to take a lot of money in development. And when I say unique to each server, it's unique based on certain flags, right? So if your server has checked off these flags, you get this content and other people don't. Well, to make that content that only like, a quarter or 10% of your population is actually experiencing, like we've seen what it costs to develop an MMO. Like that is not a small amount of money for only 10% of your player base to see it. So I guess I understand what you're saying. It's not necessary. We can get a really good game with really good content without it. But assuming they take all that extra money they're making and put it back into the game, that was kind of where I was going with my idea there.
All right, super. Now here's why you're wrong in every possible way.
Thane was I saw it in his eyes. He was just waiting.
He's like, this ginger fuck. I'm about.
We're just going in on super tonight. All right. So let's look at your numbers here. And I've seen your numbers. I've seen exactly what you've quoted put out there, like on Reddit or in the forums and things like that. So let's break down these numbers really, with real numbers. So say you have a million players, active players, $15 million. Okay, let's leave that at that. Well, first of all, to get 1 million players, you're going to have to be one of the most successful MMOs of all time. I don't think they'll hit 1 million players, honestly. I honestly don't. But let's assume 1 million players. So you've got $15 million. Right off the bat, like you're talking about $600,000 in just payment processing. That's what the payment processor is going to cost you. So now you're down to like 14.4. 1 million players at 50,000 accounts per server is going to be 20 servers. So now you've got to pay for 20 servers on AWS. That's not cheap. Your ongoing cost of ongoing artists, your ongoing staffing, your mods, your marketing. The $15 million a month that's coming in ends up looking like, in terms of like actual net profit, probably closer to $3 million when you actually break down the cost of all.
Don't forget about taxes in California.
Don't forget about taxes in California.
Referral bonus that we all get for it,
and we're all getting
with referral codes.
Yeah, of course,
So,
of course.
I'm realizing I forgot the word gross.
But 15 million gross, when you look at the cost of running an MMO, is not that much. Yeah. Because the servers knock you out at the knees. Your ongoing staffing knocks you out at the knees. They're creating content, and that's great, but you do need it. The other thing that I will always mention is that $15 is what y'all were paying for WoW in 2004, right? $15 in 2004 is like $23 today. So to keep this, at no box cost, like a lot of games have a box cost, they're saying no box cost, just a sub. I think that is why you do need a cash shop. And you need a cash shop to I mean, there are people that love to just deck themselves out. There are people that are very casual in a lot of MMOs. They just want to deck themselves out of the cash shop, and to cut yourself off to that and not then instead have like a $35 a month sub would be like
Yeah.
naive at best, negligent at worst.
I guess the biggest thing, and it's something that a lot of people are complaining about because we have yet to see it, right? A lot of the cash shop stuff looks really good. It looks pretty good, and I mean, what I would say is, especially from the concept art to what we see in game, like I see the concept art, I'm like, I don't know about that one. Then I see it in game, like, fuck, I should have bought that. And but what they're saying is you're going to be able to earn comparable or if not better stuff in game. As long as they hold true to that, I'm fine with the cash shop because it's
100%.
I mean, I've seen it in like a Path of Exile. It's like I see someone who's earned a season reward for their cosmetic wings. So in Path of Exile you can get these big ass wings. And I see the person that bought theirs for $100. And then I see the person who got their, 40 achievement reward for the season wings. And I'm like, you know what's up. Like, you put the time in. And I still think that's going to be key. Like, there'll be some of this, like, oh, you backed it way back when, so you have that cosmetic. There'll be that reward. There'll be that collector aspect. But eventually you're going to get down to the point where it's just like, oh, another cash shop item, whatever. A little bit of extra cash injection from certain people, but the main player base isn't going to value those that highly.
And I think the cash shop is like, Steve is not in this for the money. That's I believe that through and through. This is a passion project, 110%. It's not an investment from his standpoint. Is he going to profit from this? I hope so. I hope so. He's putting in great work, and the studio's putting in great work, and I think they should all be better off for it. That said, I don't think like that's not their end goal. And it goes back to what you said earlier, Bart, about Blizzard as well back in the day when they just made content, they made games, and they just wanted people to have fun. And that's the vibe I've got from day one. And that's why I put my $500 into this to get into Alpha 1. That's why I invested in Intrepid and in Ashes of Creation, is I get that same vibe. They just want people to have fun. They just want this to be a good game. And, if you build it, they will come. Whether or not we'll hit 1 million concurrent subscribers at any given point, I think they have the potential to. Will we? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. We could take our bets on what we think the highest numbers are going to be in the first 6 months. But the cash shop, as long as they stick to keeping the cosmetics in game that are achievable as good or better, and I believe looking at the armor progression that we're seeing in game for like level 10, 15 armor, level 20 armor is an absolute possibility. If they stick to that, that's awesome. If they avoid the pay to win, then they're hitting the nail on the head. And that extra money they're earning from the cash shop, that can go into funding additional projects under this IP. That can go into funding the potential of maybe a voice actor or two in an expansion. It could go into funding further advancements in the content creator program, because that in itself is a huge cash investment into their marketing and advertising. It could go into like an Ashes Con type event. That money can be used for very good things. But I also agree that the money generated from the cash shop cannot be relied upon for the MMORPG Ashes of Creation. That has to come from your monthly thing. I think that's a big, having the box cost, that's a one-time purchase. That's not something that you can really build a budget around, a long-term budget around. Having monthly concurrent users is a little bit more tangible to work with from that standpoint, so that you can staff your studio and itemize out how your expansions and what your future projects look like a little bit smarter, especially when you're not being publicly traded, when you're not going to have anything more than private investors.
And what I would like to refute just a little bit is I think Steven very much wants to make money from this. I don't think he's trying to make all the money in the world, right? He's not trying to just keep making more and more money. I think he's he's that nerd that got to that level where he has all the money that he could ever need to buy anything or do anything he wanted, and this is his passion project. But he also understands the more money he makes, the better he can make his passion project. And that's kind of the way I look at it in terms of he's a businessman. He's very much a salesman, a businessman. He's not trying to lose money. He's not trying to break even. He's trying to make a bunch of money so he can keep doing cool things, because that's what nerds want to do, right? Like, you want to take your ideas and make them real and do really cool things. And yeah, lost my train of thought, but that's all I had to say there.
Well,
I think the big thing is I don't believe it's his primary motivator.
Yes, I agree with you there. Yeah,
that's maybe how I should have worded it. I don't think profiting from Ashes of Creation as an IP is his primary motivator.
No,
I think it's absolutely a goal, and that is a measure of success of the project for sure.
But he's smart enough to understand the more money he makes off the project, the more successful the project is, the cooler stuff he can do with the project.
It's a snowball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, here's how I see it. He is a savvy businessman, and whether he's working on a passion project or whether he's investing $10 million in something that he actually wants to see grow and get a massive return on, he's going to approach it the same way. The biggest difference here is he has a hobby that he will inevitably, as long as he does good with it, will turn a profit off of it, versus like an intentional investment to make money. He is just the impression that I get both through the live, over the years, through the monthly updates, the Kickstarters, just the way that he talks about different stuff, his general marketing approach to stuff, where he'll be all like, oh, Lazy Peon just released a video and all these big streamers are watching it. Well, I'm driving to Las Vegas currently, or from Las Vegas. Let me get on the phone with Asmongold because this is a huge marketing opportunity. I mean, he's very aware of those things, and he knows how to tool those in a direction that is positive for himself and his company and his development project. And so whether or not, and I agree, HalfTilt, I don't think it's his primary focus. I think one of the things about Steven being Steven is that he's just going to kind of make money. Like, he just has that mindset. And there are those people in the world, right? I mean, I've made the reference before.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I've made the reference before. I mean, Steven is our mini Elon Musk within the MMO community. Like, he just, and I'm hoping that it gets to that point where it's like, man, everything this guy touches just kind of takes off. Except for Dogecoin.
Except for the fact Steven's actually charismatic, whereas Elon Musk is this very awkward, weird person who just kind of works.
Well, he's like this weird charismatic in his own way. Like, I appreciate his like public approach to things. Like, I think it's perfect. It's to the point. He doesn't give a shit. Like, it's just, he is who he is.
So
I was gonna transition here. So if you got something else, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna back on the Elon Musk thing. So we very much wanted to kind of theme or like take influence from what's his name? Why am I blanking on his name?
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. So we wanted to take influence from Joe Rogan on this podcast or show. We're not trying not to call it a podcast because it's just very loose, but we wanted everything to kind of flow naturally and just have fun and just, let the conversation go where it's going to go. But I don't know if anyone has seen the Joe Rogan and Elon Musk podcast, but
it's great.
It's absolutely amazing, but I just love watching every time Joe Rogan asks Elon some kind of question and Elon just sits there for like, I'm guessing it feels like 10 seconds every time, where he's just like, you could see the wheels turning. He's like, how much do I say? I'm on public channels. How much can I get away with saying? Also, what do I know that no one else should know at all? And it's just like all the wheels turning, and it was just like, I love it. I love Joe Rogan. I love Elon Musk, but like Elon Musk he's an alien. He's a fucking alien.
100%.
So we were talking about cosmetics here, and we just had a new pack come up.
Ooh.
And I am going to pose the same question that you guys. I'm gonna impose my own question towards myself. Do you guys want to guess what I got from this pack? I already
know some of it because you told me.
Well, you know one thing that I said I would not get, but
I am assuming it goes to both of those things. But anyway.
Let's see. Super likes
Ah.
Pokemon.
No,
All right,
we
got it.
established though he
That
doesn't like them
logic
in
was
MMOs.
flawed.
Oh, that's
All
true.
right, all right.
He doesn't
So
like them in MMOs.
So hold on. We know Super way better than Half Tilt does, Vane, just after doing this podcast.
Oh, that's true.
So let's put this on Half Tilt. So bring up the cosmetics. And I don't have this set up already, unfortunately, so I can't bring it up for you guys. But let me give you guys a post here. Bring up the cosmetics. And Half Tilt, guess what Super bought out of this pack?
Wait, do you know Bard? First of all, do you know?
I know one thing that he told me that he did not buy.
So you have an edge. So Half Tilt, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go down the list.
You two work
you and
together.
Me. We're gonna not work together. We're gonna go for points here. All right. So we're gonna go one item at a time. You say yes or no, and then I'll go on the next one, and we'll get points. We're gonna guess whether Super got it or not. Okay.
All right, and I'll be the officiator. Let's start.
Right. Bard's the officiator, and Super is here in case we need to make jokes.
Duckling with the flower hat.
Got it.
Right. Let's start with Tilt.
Half Tilt's first. Yeah, Half Tilt.
Yes or no? Did he buy it?
Yes.
He's so good
Super?
at keeping us.
Stoicism is impressive.
No,
I'm looking at Super. I'm looking at Super. I'm like really trying to get into his mind.
Yeah.
I say no. He didn't buy it.
I would say
Poker face.
Yeah, okay. So yes and no. I would say yeah, we have to have the answer right away, otherwise we're gonna forget. So Super.
Okay.
No.
I knew it.
Boom. 1 point.
All right.
All right.
1-0.
Vote. Yeah, hold up
Vote.
your hands with how many points you have.
Do I have to go first this time?
Yeah,
now?
yeah. Whoever
Vote.
wins goes first.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like
On the
that.
last one. Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes. He got the vote.
I'm gonna
Tilt.
say no on the boat.
Super.
Yes.
2-0. 2-0.
Oh,
Do you know what I do for a living, by the way? Do you know what I do for a living? We'll talk about what I
He
do for a living
gambles
after
addictively.
the show. Not addictively,
But-
mathematically. All right.
Yeah. But he reads people, not the cool kind of gambling, which is opening Pokemon cards.
Yeah, I don't do like the
poke-
fun, like degenerate stuff.
poker.
I use some. Yeah, I do the math psychology
Yeah.
bullshit where you
All
have
right,
to work and think. It's awful.
Freehold skin and Fane, you
Yes.
won. You're first.
Freehold skin. I'm gonna say no, and I want to say why I want to say no because I want to give Half Tilt an edge here because I think that honestly, if Super bought this Freehold skin, the Hobbit jokes would literally never stop. We would drill him
Oh, dude.
forever with the Hobbit jokes.
I was gonna go the other way. I was like, Super's gotta love the Hobbit hole.
Because of the Hobbit. I know it was one or the other. All right, so I'm saying no. He didn't buy this.
I was leaning towards yes. I'm going with my gut on it, even though it's failed me twice already.
Okay, so that's a yes.
Yeah.
All right, Super.
Good job. Good job going with your gut. It's a yes.
All right.
Nice. All right. I'm in the
Lay
game.
the
Super.
Hobbit jokes on me, Faye.
Super.
Let's go.
Remember, he's too big to be a Hobbit. We've already established this.
I gotta put this in my phone tomorrow. All right, 1 hour photoshopping Super plus cosmetic. Okay, got it. Great. Cool.
All right.
We're good.
We're gonna go right around the horn with the duck mount, or it's like a mallard duck mohawk mount.
It looks delicious.
And we're gonna start with Tilt because you won the last round.
I'm gonna say no on the duck mount.
I'm echoing Half Tilt. You got to go no on the duck mount. He doesn't like the other duck, which is cute and adorable. How can he like this duck?
Both correct.
And this is where I fundamentally disagree because this duck mount is fucking awesome.
I bought it.
Yeah, it's
It
freaking
looks cool.
awesome.
It looks like they took like the Roman
Mhm.
chariot hat style and just put
Yeah,
it on
yeah,
the
yeah.
duck.
Ooh yeah, but
And
it's
I
like kind of punk rock. This is like punk rock duck. I like it.
And I
It's blue.
definitely hope.
I feel like I
It's
feel like I
gateway
feel like I
drug
can't
duck.
ride something that I would rather eat.
And so what I would also say is like, and I made this comment on their Twitter post, but like every mount right now when you press spacebar has a special, right? Like the fox mount will sit down. The what is it? The mace snapper, whatever that lizard is, does like a spin. They all have something they do. The horses, you know, rise up. I hope when you press space on this mount, it does the chicken dance.
No, it's
I was
gonna
gonna
lay
say
an
lays an egg, but that's even better.
Okay. But anyway, moving right around the horn. So what is the score right now? I think it's 3-1. Wow.
It's technically 3-2.
3-2. 3-2. Yeah. Okay.
3-2,
Sorry.
yeah.
All right. The
And
full...
Super got the Hobbit thing, so he's already -4.
Yeah. The full skin. And you guys both got this correct. So we'll go with the winner right now. Thane, you start off.
The leaf skin?
Yeah.
God, the Hobbit thing's throwing me on this, honestly. I'm gonna say yes, Super bought this.
I was leaning towards that too, because I can already see him running around as a female dwarf mage with a beard named Grumpy Guy in that outfit.
So good. So good.
But here's the thing, Half Tilt. Your only chance to pull ahead is to refute him a little bit. Right?
We got one more item. I got
Yeah,
one more.
there's
But
one.
that's only for the
Yeah.
tie. That's only for the tie. Are you a tier
Half
or are
Tilt,
you a winner?
I'm happy if we tie, buddy. I'm happy if we tie.
Yeah, it works for me.
You know,
Okay.
see, like, we're positivity here.
Then on the next one, you have to refute.
That's true. That's true.
Got to do the strategy here.
I'm
Thane
gonna
knows
say
this
yes
shit.
because it follows better in theme with the boat and the freehold skin. So I'm gonna go with yes on that.
All right, they're opposite. Super.
That's a no.
Ugh.
What?
Ooh.
You like that house, but you don't like that outfit?
Wait, Thane, didn't you say no?
No, I
No,
said
they
yes.
both said yes.
We both said yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Because how could you
Bill,
not
you
buy
could've-
this outfit to
could've
ride
tied
that
it
boat?
up.
So here was my logic with the outfit.
All right, let's
I
hear it.
got the fall leaf outfit a while back,
Mm-hmm.
and
Way
it
better.
reminded me of that. And so if I wanted to wear something similar to that, I already have something that fits that style.
All right.
Well,
Fair
we
enough.
didn't have access.
And we're
Fair
gonna move
enough.
on.
So we weren't necessarily wrong with thinking that was something that you liked.
I
You
could have
already
seen
had-
my
you
I
already
could have
filled the
seen
niche.
myself getting it if I didn't already have that other leaf outfit. Yeah.
That's fair.
And so moving on to the backpack, and I'm gonna make an official ruling here. We're going with Half Tilt, so he is the official choice, and then Thane gets to refute or not.
Well, wait. Does that? Oh yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, I was like, that might guarantee me the win. If I just guess the same as him, I'm guaranteed the win. Right?
Wait.
Technically, but I think that's unavoidable at this point.
Well, we're going with our gut anyway because we're honest gentlemen here. We're going.
Uh-huh,
I like
uh-huh.
it.
And totally he did, because I can see him wearing this in real life too.
Oh, see, and I was going with there's absolutely no way because this looks like a weird Pokemon backpack. But I would pay to see.
But he
I would
loves
pay to see him
Pokemon.
wear this
This
in
would
real
be
life.
one of his things that he'd be walking through the mall, his daughter would see and be like, "Daddy, I want you to wear that," and he'd be like, "Okay, sweetheart."
Oh, good. Brought the dog.
All right.
I'm
I
still
will
sticking
say
with
I
no.
will say that under that context, that logic is sound.
But
I
you
think
didn't
that
buy
means
it.
I won. I think that means
But I did not get it. You got to be fucking high if you
Yeah.
thought I got that.
Yeah, I think
I see you more wearing it in real life than I do in game.
I was wearing it in real life because he's holding his daughter's backpack full of the Pokemon cards he gave her.
Oh, if I ever have to like grab Superwife's purse or something like that, I'm like full on like over the shoulder, like let's fucking go, like you know, piecing what's up to the other dads, like you know what's up, you know.
And what I will say is that kind of brings us to the end of our time. So we're gonna do our usual outros, usual shout outs. If you guys did enjoy the show tonight, we do it every Wednesday night. Next Wednesday should be super fun with the NDA drop. But please go follow all of these other awesome content creators who make this show possible. Like, yeah, this show is so much fun. I look forward to it every week. I hope you guys do as well. And that's thanks to all of these awesome people. And special thanks to Half Tilt for coming on tonight. So let me give Half Tilt a shout out. And why don't you go ahead and give us your outro, where we can find you, what you're doing, what we can expect from you coming soon.
All right. Hey, it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show. This was a lot of fun, and genuinely enjoyed chatting with you, gents. That said, you can follow me on Twitter at half_tilt, here on Twitch. That's right there above my picture.
Get a link tree, bro.
Yeah, one of these days. You're the first person that's ever suggested that to me, so maybe I should do that too.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about it. But youtube.com Tilted Paradise will be the new channel. But yeah, so that's gonna be the new YouTube channel. I'm gonna be streaming the NDA release this Friday, depending on server availability, pretty much from pickup until I have to go get my son. And then from there, I will be playing dad most of the weekend. So you guys have fun streaming it and playing it. I'll be lurking where I can.
Make sure you get your B-roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be recording the whole time. So.
Yeah, on that note, if you need anything, let us know. You know, we all want to support each other as content creators. So if there's anything you want us to check out for you for a video, get footage for a video, just let us know. We're happy to do that. Let's move on to Fane.
Guys, you know the drill. You can find my link tree at itsfane.com. Go there, find all my social links. Come visit me this weekend. We are setting the world record for the longest Ashes of Creation stream ever. We're pretty much going to go until I drop dead in this chair.
Damn.
All right. And moving right along to Super.
Well, you guys can find me in my Hobbit hole. No, we got another pack battle coming up this week, actually tomorrow night. So that way we're not conflicting with the NDA being released. Bard and I are doing another pack battle over on my channel, Super TCG. I lost the most recent one, so I'm looking for revenge and ready to come back at it. Although Bard did open a box and he got some pretty big pulls, so I'm kind of hoping, he shot himself in the foot a little bit there, and I'll have the upper hand.
Yeah,
so.
I fucking crushed that box. It was ridiculous. I should have saved it. I wish that was on stream.
But I also as well will be streaming the NDA drop. I think, pretty much anybody interested in Ashes of Creation and they have OBS and a camera will probably have it up. But if you like anything that you see here, make sure you check all of us out. And if you like watching a streamer with a better beard than everybody else on screen, check me out.
And yeah, I'm Bardic. We're obviously on my channel. If you enjoyed tonight's content, drop me a follow here. I've also got a YouTube channel. You're welcome to check that out. Trying to pump out lots of content. Obviously, we'll be pumping out a lot more. But what I do want to say is that if you enjoyed tonight's content, we are trying to get a separate YouTube channel just for this show up and running. I just linked it in chat. Please go check it out. Drop it a follow. We'll be uploading, full episodes as well as clips. We're trying to do about 1 to 2 clips per episode, which will be anywhere from 5 to 15. One of them was about 20 just because it was more important from what we thought. But yeah, clips of kind of like the important stuff that happened during the episode. Obviously, we like to go on tangents, laugh, and have fun. But yeah, go check out that channel. Please drop it a subscribe. Help us get it off the ground. And yeah, the last thing I want to say is we are going to do about a 5-minute just rundown by ourselves in our private channel here, and then we will be popping up into the public channel in my Discord, just to kind of hang out with everyone, anyone that wants to pop in and chat. As I said, you can stay for as long or as little amount of time as you have available, but it's your chance to really, so yeah, if you didn't notice, we don't really engage with chat outside of like typing to you guys. If there's a really good question, we try to involve it into the conversation. But we are making this more towards a podcast kind of YouTube stance. We love hanging out with you guys on Twitch, but we're gearing the content more towards that kind of stuff. But this is your chance to come in, hang out with all of us. Bring up any things that we talked about that maybe didn't get addressed, and come
attack me like the rest of these guys.
Yeah. Call us out on being wrong. But anyway, I am going to go ahead and throw a raid out here to Kazobro. Kazobro is another awesome guy, one of my buddies. He streams a lot all the time. Right now he does mostly random stuff, but he will be streaming a lot of Ashes of Creation coming up. So yeah, let's all head over there. Please give him some love. And